Thank you to our sponsors for today's video: InfyPower, Amber, StarCharge, and Nokian Tyres. InfyPower is the largest EV charger module provider with over 3 million power modules running reliably worldwide. Their latest G2 collection features ultra-high power density and efficiency for EV charging and energy storage integration. InfyPower, innovation for your power. Amber offers a modern extended warranty for your Tesla's battery and more without the burden of long-term contracts or upfront payments. Check out the link in the description below to browse their plan options and get started with a free over-the-air diagnostic check. This video is also brought to you by StarCharge, the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world, and is also a provider of residential and commercial battery storage as well as microgrid solutions. And Nokian Tyres, a leader in safety and sustainability. Maximize performance and efficiency with their made in USA all-season tires and their dedicated Hakkapeliitta EV winter line from the inventor of the winter tire. Learn more at nokiantyres.com/EV. Jordan, we are about to drive the EX90 for the first time in this video. Are you excited to take this one out?
I hate to break it to you, that's actually the XC90.
What?
Yeah, these are not the EX90.
XC90 is 10 years old now. There's no way it looks this good.
It looks so good.
How did these things age so well? 10 years on, still looking modern.
Yeah, we gotta go find the electric one.
All right, let's go find the electric one. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video, and welcome back to the Volvo EX90. A few weeks ago, Jordan and I produced a full tour, over 1 hour long, detailed deep dive of the new Volvo EX90. And well, we weren't able to share anything about how it drives, but that's what this video is all about, the driving dynamics. And in the, I guess, category of the electric 3-row SUV, this vehicle is going up against some really well-tuned, very high-quality vehicles. Vehicles like Lucid Gravity coming very soon, Kia EV9 on the low end, Rivian R1S, which can do some incredible things on a little bit more of a sporty end and off-road vibe. And of course, Mercedes EQS SUV, which is a little bit more expensive. So in my impression, this vehicle really needs to strike the perfect balance of calmness and comfort with certainly the ability to get down a back road, a twisty road, a mountain road if you live up in the hills of Colorado, as an example. But this is not intended to be the ultimate outright performance sports SUV, but it does have over 500 horsepower. So in this video, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna walk you through all of the statistics, the specifications, a little bit about the chassis. Then we're gonna jump inside and drive it for our very first time. We'll talk about the low speed calibrations, motor cogging, one pedal drive tuning, the clutch disconnect on the rear axle. Then we'll get it out onto some twisty roads. Just make sure that it can get down a back road comfortably, calmly, and of course with enough stability where it's not going to freak you out. This is not meant to be a racer. Then we'll get it on the highway, try the driver assistance systems, talk about what's available now at launch, at start of production, and what will come in the future. And then we'll drive it a little bit in the city and we'll share our final thoughts. So it's a big video because the EX90 was amazing in our tour. We really loved it. It has one of the best sound systems out there, but it all comes down to how it drives. And if it has some issues, Jordan, it could be a real problem for the car. So join us as we go to drive the EX90 for the very first time. I am holding the key for the EX90. Yes, this is one of the vehicles that supports phone key as ultra-wideband NFC. Is that right?
Yeah, Apple's key system. BMW is notoriously the first, but there's other companies joining in.
Yeah, our Kia EV9 had this, which I really loved. You don't actually even need the app. You can text people the key to the vehicle. And Volvo has so much trust in the system, Jordan, that they didn't even send us with the spare key. They just handed us an iPhone.
Which worked for most people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. There's a little bit buggy from what some other people at the event had mentioned, but we experienced really no issues with it at all. And of course, you'll join us in the video and see some of that. So let's start with, I guess, specifications. If you haven't watched our full tour, this is really an addendum video to our full tour of the vehicle. So, I mean, just briefly, we can show you inside. Hold on, I gotta use the, there we go. I locked it so the handles would go in, but here I can show you a little bit of just the space. This one's optioned with the wool interior. Glass roof is standard. By the way, there is an optional glass shade that will be in the accessory shop, or maybe even comes included with the vehicle, I'm not sure. It's not huge, Jordan, just in terms of EV9 is significantly bigger.
Yeah.
And even R1S, and even, it's maybe Model X sized.
Yep. And it's big enough for a lot of people. It's like bigger than the typical 5-seat SUV or CUV.
Absolutely. But XC90 was never like the suburban size or a Tahoe size. So this is a little bit longer than XC90, but a little bit shorter in terms of height.
But it looks fantastic. And again, we have a huge, deep, almost 100-minute long tour of everything.
Yes.
But specification-wise, this is, I guess, you know, they always bring the premium launch spec to these events.
So let's talk about that. The vehicle starts at just under $80,000 to get the tax credit, and they're built in South Carolina. This one was built in South Carolina. And you get, in that particular one, a little bit less power. I'm going to flash them up on the screen, but actually, do I have the spec sheet on me? Yes, I do. Always keep it in your back pocket. Jordan, you ready for this?
Yep.
The twin motor standard car, codenamed E400 V3.
Nice.
Is a 300 kilowatt output vehicle. So that's pretty good. And I don't know what the power split on that particular one is, but it's 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. So 5.9, 0 to 100K, probably 5.7, 0 to 60 miles per hour. Same exact drivetrain, I believe, just with a software tune. That seems pretty good. The one we're driving is like an additional $5,000 plus or minus for the twin performance. That comes with 380 kilowatts of power, 200 kilowatts coming from the rear motor, 180 kilowatts coming from the front motor. So the rear motor is stronger than this one, which I really like. Interestingly, they use a dual permanent magnet motor system, which is always a question mark for me sometimes, because you can't really shut off permanent magnet motors. You can control back EMF, and Lucid has, and Tesla have both proven you can make a very efficient vehicle with dual permanent magnet motors. But in this case, Volvo opted to go with a rear clutch disconnect, which means under normal driving, most of the time while cruising, this is a front wheel drive vehicle. And then as you give it an accelerator pedal request, the rear motor is then engaged. Anything under 30 kilometers per hour is always all-wheel drive, Jordan. So as you're slowing down, it will reconnect to a stop. That way that you have, you know, if you're on a hill and it's icy, you always have four-wheel drive to get off from a start. We're going to be talking about this clutch disconnect strategy as we're driving, because it's really delayed in this one. We experienced it when I drove the EX30 for the first time in a recent video as well, about a month ago on this channel. And I really don't like the clutch disconnect strategy. So shout out to Hannes at Volvo. We spent a lot of time with him yesterday. He took the feedback and he's like, okay, we're going to try in software updates to try and tune the clutch disconnect to be a little bit better. And we'll talk about that as we drive it. So that'll be pretty cool. What's interesting about this, though, is the rear motor is stronger, 200 kilowatts on the rear axle, Jordan, but its primary axle is the front axle.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah. Now, on this spec sheet, there is a mention of a rear-wheel drive. There's no mention of what it is. I don't think they were supposed to share that.
They're not sharing it yet.
They never said anything other than the launch specifications, but on here somewhere is, yeah, rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. So I think the two-wheel drive version that will probably come after launch, maybe not for our market, maybe for the European market, I don't know, will just be rear drive, which will be interesting, because if front primary axle in the all-wheel drive, rear primary axle in the rear-wheel drive, okay?
Will that result in any issues? We don't know.
Well, probably not. I mean, I prefer rear drive.
Yeah, it's the enthusiast drive.
Yeah, so the one we're driving is the Twin Performance Ultra. This is a fully spec'd car. The Ultra meaning that it has all the nice interior, and this one's also spec'd with the big boy Bowers & Wilkins sound system. Need to get that. The 22 is only an $800 option or so, Jordan.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. I think they look great.
And the aero covers can actually come off. So.
Right, you can pop these covers off on the 22s on this one and give like a different design to the wheel. I think they look great installed. Volvo design is really nice here. What's powering those motors? We spoke a lot about motors, but what's powering them is a 111 kilowatt hour battery pack, identical to Polestar 3, with a 107 kilowatt hour usable energy content. We will take it to a charging station and charge it in this video as well. So we're going to be able to basically, it's one of the only vehicles on sale we'll talk about in the video that pulls more than 500 amps. That's not a Tesla. So we'll get up to 540 amps later on in this video as we take it to a Delta high power charging station. And it actually requests 600 and maybe even above amps that right now only superchargers can deliver above 600 amps. And so, can't wait till we get an AX adapter, and by the end of this year this vehicle will have adapters shipping either with it or being mailed to the owners. I'm very much excited for that. In terms of the platform, the battery pack sits sort of right down low in the middle, and we can even overlay some footage of them. It has a dual chamber air suspension, both front and rear, which is really interesting, so you can keep the ride height where you want it and tune some of the secondary ride control comfort. Has adaptive damper front and rear as well. Double wishbone up front. These are all like really high quality items that I'm listing off here. I thought they were going to do McPherson strut on this thing, but doing a double wishbone is, I mean, that's going to lead to some really good stability. I love when companies go for that type of suspension geometry in something. It just gives it such a more planted character on the road. It's not so space efficient, it's not so cost efficient, but this is a premium vehicle. The one we're driving is $89,000 and maybe even 90, 91, 92 with the Bowers and Wilkins and the 22s, Jordan. This thing's gonna be, let's just say, low 90s.
Yeah, it's like a nice premium, I don't know, it slots in between some of the really high-end premium stuff like the Mercedes, but also above, you know, all the variants of EV9.
Yeah, and I really think a lot of people are going to be cross-shopping this and Rivian R1S. R1S certainly has much more of an adventure character, but also has a little bit more road presence. It's, you know, you almost need a bit of a personality to drive that, where this is just a, you know, just needs to be a nice SUV for nice people, and it is a nice place to be. So you've already seen in our full tour all of the under the hood, under the trunk, the interior, the massaging seats, all of that stuff. This video is all about driving. So we basically will go through the drive modes when we set up. We'll go through the one pedal driving settings, talk about how it feels, and go have some fun with the Volvo EX90, and of course bring it to a charging station. And I believe we are the first ever people in America to charge above 500 amps in a non-Tesla vehicle, Jordan.
Nice. Setting records.
Okay, trucks and buses, maybe.
Right.
So this is a weird record. But in terms of a series production car from a non-manufacturer or EVSE company, we've charged above 500 amps in a non-Tesla. That's a very obscure one. All right, let's jump in, go for a drive, join me, and we'll go have some fun with the EX90. Welcome now to the inside of the EX90. You join me and Jordan. Jordan's actually been driving this all day already.
Yeah.
So we can bounce some ideas back and forth. And it is genuinely my first time to drive this car.
You've been riding passenger, taking a nap in the back, like
I did. I slept in the back.
You've done everything but drive it.
And then I tried the third row as well.
Yep.
Which I don't really fit from a headroom perspective.
Right.
But this is, like I mentioned, when I say I drive it for the first time, I literally have someone else drive me around until we can get to it so I can drive it for the first time. But I've had the chance to ride in it. You can get a lot of impressions from the passenger seat. And I have to say, just initially, Jordan, if people are worried about the driving dynamics of this vehicle, there's a few quirks and little things that we figured out, and there's some improvements we would suggest, but overall this is refined, it's competent, maybe even better than competent in some areas. I don't think there's anything to worry about that we're going to say in this video that should stop a buying decision. Do you agree?
Yep, I agree. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching. We'll see you.
That's the addendum to the full tour video. And seriously, I know we mentioned in the intro, but if you have not watched the full tour video, you really should. It's a long one, but we cover tip to tail, a little bit in a convoluted order because it was 100 degrees outside and I have not had any water today. And I'm dying. I feel like I'm dying.
We should go find water.
This is the review where Kyle drives to find water. But it's one of those programs that is just, you know, we're on a schedule, we got stuff to do, and here we are to drive it really for the first time. So I'm going to start in my usual low speed sort of urban simulation around this parking lot, Jordan, to go through some of the settings. Like we already mentioned, we have performance all-wheel drive off, since this is the key up setting. And then there's really not many other drive modes other than that. There's some one pedal driving options, which we're going to keep on, since I think that's how most people drive. We'll try one pedal driving off in auto just to double check, but also steering feel, I'm going to put in soft, suspension in soft, and just keep it in sort of normal on-road characteristics. Now there is an off-road mode. Perhaps we'll run this through the Hill Climb Challenge when we get it in Colorado. Could be interesting to see it how, maybe even has a mechanical locker on the rear. It's got a mechanical diff of some kind back there.
That'd be nice, yeah.
But now that was literally the first time I moved this thing.
1 mile an hour.
All right, so we have a couple good things going for me here.
Okay.
We have a bottom hinged accelerator pedal. I love a bottom hinged accelerator pedal. We also have a brake pedal that feels very brake-by-wire-y. And a couple corners you went through earlier on today, you were pushing it, we could hear the ESP clicks, which is very typical for Volvo and also indicates more of a brake-by-wire system where it's actuating the brakes off the side. So I'm going to tip into the throttle for the first time. Very light accelerator pedal.
Smooth.
Yep, and the steering ratio is pretty slow, dude. Oh my goodness. So it's like 3 turns lock to lock, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, I instantly noticed just turning in, not much is happening here.
Yeah.
Versus you do this in the Cybertruck.
Well,
not that it's a comparable, but you do it in an R1S or something else that people would look at, and it's
a bit more noticeable.
Yeah, totally. Just slow steering tip in at low speed, I'm noticing. Also, in typical Volvo fashion, extremely light. One finger. I mean, I can move this thing all around wherever I want it to go. Almost Rolls-Royce-like, that's what a Volvo should be. This is a car that needs to be gentle, it needs to be calming, it needs to coddle you, but not also go to the point where it's overly luxurious like a Mercedes or something like that where it's wafty. I would say this car just strikes that perfect balance of like Nordic smartness with general everyday usability and comfort. Not many performance attributes here, but it is really quick in a straight line.
Yeah, I mean, it's very feels like XC40 and C40, like the predecessors. Like it's...
Dude, the one pedal driving feels amazing.
Yeah.
Totally different than EX30. EX30 was really clunky and not great.
Yeah.
This is a total departure.
Refined.
Oh, this like solves, I was so worried. For those who haven't watched, I reviewed Volvo EX30 in Germany. The car had some issues. I mean, it's a really amazing car overall from a design standpoint and features, and I really, really love the EX30. I have a reservation for one. I'm still keeping it. I'm hoping that some updates can fix it. But like this just feels so good. So let's try reverse to drive. No major clunks, nothing going on there.
Yep.
Just smooth rocking. This is hard to tune electric motors to do this. There's no weird noise. There's no clunk. Just rocking it is just, all right, so already high expectations are met from the low speed stuff.
We haven't even left the parking lot. You're in love.
Yeah, I'm watching the other cars go by on this screen here. Now there's a couple different screens I can pull up, right?
Yep.
So there's like a simple screen, there's a navigation one, and then there's the driver assistance screen as well, which is pretty cool. So we're gonna keep it on the, let's keep it on the driver assistance screen so we can see what's happening. Dude, I love the one pedal tuning.
Yep.
It doesn't beat you up, it doesn't feel too bad. The steering, very light. The view out the front is awesome. You can see all the way out. Very, very few blind spots, I will say. Like even with the headrest up, I can kind of see around there. Plus with that, we have these awesome frameless mirrors. One thing I wish did happen is when I put the turn signal on though, that the blind spot indication would show here in the display.
The side cameras, yeah, they're already there. Why not just add it?
Yeah, exactly.
Which they could add later over the air. A lot of people do.
I hope they do, because that's a feature that I really do enjoy. Now we're going to try and evaluate this car in the canyons, which is actually, we're on a great driving road right now, then the highway, and then the city.
Yeah.
And so we'll just play around with it in different driving environments. So first things first, I just want to drive it normally, Jordan, head out onto this great canyon road. So with that in mind, this is not intended to be a performance vehicle. I just want to make sure if someone does have to get to their mountain house very quickly, the car's not going to do anything unusual. It's not going to scare them. The tuning is right. So would you mind dialing up my settings to performance all-wheel drive to start?
Performance all-wheel drive, yep.
Performance all-wheel drive engages the rear motor, so it's all there all the time. And then would you mind putting the suspension to firm and steering to firm? So let's just dial it all the way up.
Yeah, you do have to have a co-pilot to do all of this.
Yeah, thank you. It is pretty menu intensive on the fly. I wish there was just like a sport mode.
Yep.
That would make so much more sense. So steering firms up. Dude, wow. It feels so good initially. So this is my first time going into any corners, and they're pretty tight corners. The steering feel has no feel to it. Very similar to EX30, where it's just, you have no idea what's happening. But wow, it feels composed, a little roly-poly.
It is heavy.
Yeah, but you know, it's not intended to be a performance vehicle, but like if I just, dude, it's fast too.
Yep.
It boogies pretty damn well. Braking test. So you can feel that clicking through the brake pedal. That's where it feels heavy under braking.
Yeah, yeah. So cool that seatbelt just grabbed me.
Yep. My driver's seat feels like it's moving.
Oh.
And that I talked to my friend Chad. Chad also said it felt like his seat was moving. And we're two bigger dudes, so maybe it's just like the extra weight through the corners.
Yeah.
I just feel, feels like it's not bolted in.
Oh.
So
well,
that's now the
not
second
good.
and two different cars. Yeah, it feels like that's weird. And it's not, it's just moving like a tunk, a tunk.
Yeah.
Okay, very unusual. Oh yeah, dude, do you hear it? It's almost like the side bolster is giving way, maybe. Very, very
That'd be
unusual.
really interesting, yeah.
Back to the driving, because this is something we're going to tell them about. Of course, it's in the video, but we'll have to be like, all right, what's actually going on here? The throttle response in performance mode is awesome. Boom, instant.
Yeah.
And gives you everything. Now, it's not Model X Plaid fast, but it is Model X Plaid money. So we have to just keep that in mind. It has half the horsepower of a competitor.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy thing to think about in the day and age, but that's electric cars in 2024. If you want a dragster, this is not the car for you. You buy a Model X Plaid. But if you want like a luxurious, still very quick, no question, a very nice handling vehicle and riding vehicle, I really think this is so much cooler.
It is. It's really great, and you can get the performance on either trim, which is nice. Kind of like, so it's about the same performance as EV9 GT, even the same 0 to 60, close enough. And you can option performance on a Land EV9. Same type of thing here. You can get kind of the quote-unquote base model. At least they don't have the rear-wheel drive out
Plus
yet.
model,
but the Plus base, and then option performance, and then you get the same performance.
The Ultra,
which is great. Ultra. So it's Plus Ultra.
No.
Plus performance.
Plus and Ultra are the two different trim levels.
Yeah.
And then you have the Twin and the Twin Performance.
Yeah.
This is obviously the maxed out Twin Performance Ultra. Jordan seems to be confused. But I think
Somehow
that's actually not confusing.
It's really not. It's just their own words for things that everyone else has their own words for, and it's just, it's great.
Okay, I'm going to slow down a little bit. I just want to try a couple more corners. The one thing, actually characteristic-wise, very actually similar ethos to EX30 that I've experienced, where it's just that sized up. It doesn't like love to be absolutely pushed and thrashed, but when you get it closer to the limit, it starts to feel a little bit wallowy, a little bit soft, but I don't think that's bad.
Yeah.
I would much rather this car be comfortable and daily driving friendly rather than a performance machine. Not everything needs to be a performance machine, and I actually kind of prefer it when brands are like, we're just going to make this a comfortable car to drive. Dude, this thing feels awesome. The powertrain is dead silent.
That's what's really impressive. Getting out of a lot of other cars, even a Lucid, and finding this to be a bit quieter.
From a drivetrain
perspective is impressive.
Absolutely. The motors are way quieter than even a Lucid. Now, we don't know about the gravity, but I will say this has a lot of grip, more grip and more cornering force than you would even expect from a Volvo. And it does have this, like, if you need to get down a road, it's really quick. The one thing I don't like at all from a performance standpoint is the steering. It's just so vague. First of all, the position, the steering wheel doesn't come out far enough. The wheel is firm, so you would think, oh great, I can feel some road feedback come through.
Yeah,
There's nothing at all, and it's pretty slow on the rack.
I mean, I do wonder what non-air suspension would feel like, but yeah.
So that's another thing to mention. We're driving the air suspension car.
Right.
The spring car may actually feel even a little bit less wallowy, would be my guess, because this is a dual chamber air suspension. So you have basically a secondary ride surface where it can soak up some of those finer bumps, and then it also has this one that can handle big jumps and also big yumps and also the ride height selection. So I like the idea of a dual or even a tri-chamber air suspension. I think it can help settle down the car and not give it this e-tron-like waftiness, this vibe, and this car does not waft. We've been riding around in it all day. You hit a bump, you hit it once, and then it's done, and it's great.
It's so comfortable.
Yeah, it's very comfortable, but not at the compromise of being old 70s Cadillac.
Right.
It really retains the weight, which is a lot of weight.
Yeah.
But it really holds the weight nicely, I would say. So you also drove the car in the canyons, Jordan, and I would say you actually probably drove it harder than I'm able to today, but that's not the main reason to do this review. But what was your performance, the straight line acceleration, and all of that stuff in performance drive mode?
I mean, I was just hoping this would be a nice, comfortable cruising car, but like the fact that it is faster than I expected and better composed than I expected. You're right, the steering made it a bit not scared. Like, I didn't feel scared for safety, but it was just like,
it's unsure.
This corner is tighter than I realized because of how much steering input I have to actually put in. And so that's the only like, I wish it was a bit better, but canyon-wise, it handles it just fine. We were keeping up with everyone and leaving people in the dust earlier.
Yeah.
And that's beyond my expectations. Like, if I had a sports car as a daily, but then I had to take the family into the mountains and I had this, I'd be fine.
Absolutely. I mean, I still think the Rivian is better overall, like funness and craziness, because that you can go ESP off and you get up to 1,000 horsepower, you do all this crazy stuff. So if you're really a car driving enthusiast, there might be better options on the performance side, no question. But when you compare this to EV9, this feels so much lighter on its feet than EV9. EV9, I think they weigh roughly the same, but just the way this gets through the corner is a whole nother level of sophistication above EV9. You don't get this big bounciness, this wallowiness that EV9 sometimes tends to have. And yeah, out of the competition, this strikes the Volvo driving characteristic, because each car will have its own competencies, its own philosophical way a vehicle should get down the road. And I think if you subscribe to the Volvo philosophy, which is it just needs to do everything well, it's going to be, you know, you're going to drive this thing in the mountains, it's not a race car, but you want it to be comfortable in the daily, this is your choice.
Yep.
So that's the Canyons, that's the performance stuff. I would like to talk a little bit about straight line hard throttle, because there's actually some not great situations there. But like I said, when you're in the Canyon, you dial up the performance settings, everything is okay. There's no ESC back off button or anything, right? We didn't see a single ESC Sport, which is unusual, because in EX30 you can actually turn it off.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, but not here. Also, Polestar 3, there was an ESC Sport mode.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Not here. And that's something that could come through software. It could be something that Volvo just is so concerned about safety, they don't want to offer that.
And they're just trying to get this, I swear, they're just trying to get this car out. Like everything else that was left out.
That car was going.
Yep.
Almost just witnessed a head-on collision.
Some of these Canyons, man.
I was ready to just stand on the brake pedal. Well, we've gotten out of the real twisty bits now, Jordan, and we've backed the car off to sort of comfort mode, if you will. Suspension is now in soft and steering's backed off. And I've actually selected the automatic one-pedal drive function, and a couple things have changed because of that. The suspension really has eliminated those secondary road surfaces and, you know, sort of translating into the car. So we have just a smooth ride, but some of the still undulations are there and we're moving, but it feels even a little bit more natural in the soft suspension. I don't really see any need where anyone would ever have to firm up the suspension on this vehicle.
I guess unless you're canyoning it, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's just pass on a double yellow. People really have a death wish on this road today.
Yeah, we've seen a lot.
We're now safety ambassadors because we're driving a Volvo. So we have to be, you know. You know, when we do the big SUV comparison again, which we'll probably do again at some point this year.
We got to do it every year because new SUVs come out every year.
Electric SUVs come every year, but that's where we really get into, I think, the comparisons. Rivian is certainly much more of a sophisticated system. It has fully adjustable roll stiffness through hydraulic rather than using physical linked suspension, and, you know, just way more adjustment in terms of height and damper settings. This is really a one general setting with a little bit of firmness if you want some sportiness, but really you just keep it in this one baseline setting, and I think it does a very good job of just right down the middle of the road, quite a bit of comfort. Certainly the Rivian can get softer and stiffer, but then there's also a lot of body motions in R1. A Gen 2 solves a lot of that, but yeah, I would say certainly definitely something we'll compare when we do the SUV comparison.
Yeah, but the Volvo way is just simple.
Yep.
Kind of like their, you know, lack of sport mode in C40 and XC40. They're not slow cars, but
No.
you just however much you put in the pedal, it gives you.
Yeah, I actually kind of like it.
Yeah,
it's not a complicated car, and a lot of people don't want a complicated car.
Right.
They just want to get in and go.
Yeah.
And this is like set up really nicely. You don't have to think, what am I going to do? Am I in drift mode, rally mode, snow mode, blah, 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 blah. It's just put it in drive, just drive it.
Yep.
There is one very important setting here, Jordan, which is, we were talking a lot about the straight line stuff, and that is this performance mode. So because this vehicle has two permanent magnet electric motors, it clutch disconnects on the rear. And every vehicle has a different clutch reconnect and disconnect strategy. Rivian has it, Mercedes, the new EQS has it, Hyundai Kia Genesis has it, so EV9 also has a clutch disconnect, and it's becoming more industry standard to disconnect a permanent magnet electric motor under light throttle and even partial throttle cruising applications. The performance mode that we've used up to this point has kept everything connected. We're in full four-wheel drive all the time, and that means the response is boom. As soon as I hit the pedal, you know, it's as soon as my foot hits the floor, zero delay, just wham.
It's awesome.
Really good. As soon as we turn off the performance mode, and I'm just gentle on the throttle, it will actually disconnect the rear motor. And one thing we haven't felt is any noise or vibration or any harshness and VH from that rear disconnect and connecting strategy. It's been totally smooth. At the downside, the throttle response now is significantly slower. So watch what happens when I floor it. Floored. Nothing. Slowly wrapping. There we go. And you could feel it connect right there at the end just a little bit. You get a little surge of power.
Like a turbo.
Yeah, now it feels like it has turbo lag.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, I think a lot of customers will be coming out of XC90 T8
Yep.
recharge. And it's like if you're in electric mode and you floor, it's got to spin up, connect, do all that stuff. And it's like, I'm floored.
Wow. That's crazy.
I think that's so bad, it's almost dangerous.
It's really smoothly bad too, so people might not know. I mean, we've heard of other journalists not knowing about the performance button,
Yeah.
and they're just thinking that's EVX90.
Yeah, a lot of people here reviewing the car that we saw, many of which are just general car reviews, they're not EV experts or anything. They didn't realize what was happening with the clutch disconnect. We kind of had to explain to them, like, hey, this is what's going on. And they're like, oh, now it makes sense. There's like a mechanical component that we're waiting on.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are going to want to just keep it in performance. What I don't know is if it key up starts in performance mode. I don't think it does. I think you have to hit it every time.
Yeah.
Same with the driver distracting warnings. If you look away or use the screen, it'll ding at you, do all this stuff. And I think that's something you got to hit every single time as well.
It's a bummer.
And you might be able to program a hotkey to do it on the steering wheel, which could be kind of interesting. So the non-performance drive mode, this lag, is quite concerning. The EX30 also, I noticed the similar situation, Jordan, and I feel like Volvo really needs to speed up the reconnect strategy, and at least it doesn't need to be as snappy as performance mode, but just 50% improvement is really what it needs.
Yeah. A way to get around it is doing a brake stand at a stoplight.
So you connect everything.
Yep, that works.
So left foot on the brake, launch control, doesn't have launch
launch control everywhere, yeah.
So you could be mom in the school line, ready to go. But I mean, seriously, the lag time at 55 miles an hour cruising, let's say you have a quick second to make a pass or the light goes or something, floored.
You're right, that's almost dangerous.
Yeah, it is so unusual in an electric car to have this delay. And so I think that's just not my preference. I don't like it, and thankfully it's a one switch away from solving everything.
Yeah.
But you do have to hit the button. Now, why wouldn't they just tune it where performance is on all the time? Our US government EPA range ratings, because they're required to test the vehicles in key up settings, and Volvo wanted that 308 mile, is it?
Up to that, yeah.
Yeah, up to 308 mile EPA range.
Can't wait to test it, I'm curious.
Would not have been possible with performance mode on at launch. In fact, Polestar 3, the sister car to this one, Jordan, they have two different strategies depending if you get the normal one or the performance. If you get the performance Polestar 3, it's default on all the time.
Yep.
And then you can say, oh, I want range mode to disconnect while cruising. In my mind, that works.
Yeah.
I get that. Because I'm actually telling it, hey, I need the range and I'll take the drivetrain compromise. The standard Polestar 3, they wanted the big number on screen, or to display, advertise the car with. Therefore, that car is identical to this, where you have to put it in performance mode.
So annoying.
Yeah, but this is just how automakers are getting around the EPA numbers, and you got to game the system a little bit. I'm okay with a little cheekiness.
Yeah.
That's cool. So that's some more characteristics of EX90. Now that we've had the chance to drive it a little bit, I think Jordan and I can both attest to just how quiet this car is as well. There is not a rattle in here other than from the sound system when the bass hits, but naturally it's just 1600 watts, 1.6 kilowatts of sound.
And that's high sound system. That's more than most people would listen to.
That's ear bleeding level.
Yeah,
maxed out.
That's where we put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
TJ Khaled, all the way up.
That's right. And you hear the doors start to rattle themselves.
Yeah.
But under normal driving, where you're a normal person,
so quiet.
The build quality is amazing. The tolerances are really tight on the interior. It doesn't really creak too much like a Mercedes. I mean, I'm pushing on a lot of stuff. I'm not really hearing a lot of things. And just the tire noise, the road noise, the wind noise is almost non-existent.
Yep.
It's surprisingly quiet, I would say.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I mean, earlier you were in the third row and I was driving, and we could have a conversation pretty easily.
Yeah, we could just talk and I was all the way back there.
Awesome.
In a Kia, you need passenger talk.
Yeah, this doesn't need it.
This doesn't need passenger talk, which is the little microphone that goes all the way to the third row.
Yep.
Brake pedal feels amazing here, even though I'm not in one pedal driving at the moment. I really like this brake-by-wire. I mean, Volvo's always had great brake pedals with their brake-by-wire systems, and to me, this is working really well. I am not, like we said at the beginning of this video so far, I have 0 complaints that are like, would stop me from buying one.
Yeah.
They're little nitpicks on the steering and from a performance side mostly, but this is not a performance car.
Yeah.
So if you're just getting in this thing to cruise and to jam to music,
It's amazing for that.
it's literally near perfection, Jordan.
Yeah.
And we don't say that about many cars.
No, I usually nitpick too much, I think, so I'm
Well, we're heading to a charging station now.
Oh boy.
So let's go see how it charges.
Sounds good.
This is the real big question mark because it's the 111 kilowatt hour gross, 107 usable, same batteries Polestar 3. They claim 250 kilowatt charging. And I just want to plug in and see the voltage range, which is why we're going to an EVgo.
Yep.
Should be 540 amps, which is the highest publicly available charging station in the US that anyone could bring this car to. We're not going to see 250 kilowatts because you need superchargers to get there. This won't get that until adapter towards the end of this year.
Yep.
And then NACS next year. But we will see how it charges. So let's blast over to EVgo, plug this thing in, and see how it does. Jordan, the 360 cam is awesome. But look how huge that is. The world's biggest Honda Civic. Yeah, they got to give them props for the cameras on this thing. Also, when you like roll up into a parking spot, it shows up as well.
It's so cool.
We'll have it pop up here, and again, we're coming up to another red light. So I'm just going to slow down. Using that one pedal driving now, so smooth.
Now camera's back up.
Yep, there you go. Auto come up, or did you hit it?
I had to hit it, yeah.
Okay, so now I can show the front view. Woohoo. Rear view. Wait, we're surrounded by Camrys. And
Pretty
you can
nice.
see, so snappy. That's one thing I have to give them credit for. A lot of people have given Volvo, including us, some crap for the software stuff.
Yeah.
Like thinking, okay, maybe it's not fully baked. Dude, this feels really good.
Yeah.
Little glitches here and there, little ones, but really not bad. And now maybe we can zoom in on this and you can see how many cars it's showing. It's not even using LiDAR at the moment.
That's pretty impressive.
That's impressive. I also have the simple screen and the maps display. Look how smooth everything is.
Yeah, the software is so good in this car. They can do lots of tweaks with over-the-air updates, but as long as the hardware supports it, which this is so snappy, I'm happy.
Why would you buy a Model X? That's what I really don't understand. This drives so much better. Yeah, that's fast in a straight line and it's got crazy doors, but oh yeah, we should be good to get our own little charger. Is that an E-Transit? Dude, it's a baby E-Transit. I didn't even know they made those. That's like a short wheelbase.
That's awesome.
So the charging port's on which side? Rear driver, right?
Rear,
Yeah.
yeah.
Same as Tesla. Yeah, it is an E-Transit. Holy smokes. So into reverse.
That's pretty cool. Mobile
Let's-
car wash.
This is important to make sure we can line up in the parking space. That's a little potato-y.
Yeah.
But Volvos have actually always had pretty terrible backup cameras. But that's okay. I got right in there, no problem. It's just this bending is not as natural as Tesla or Rivian or any of
We
those.
can tell where we are, though.
Yeah,
really
we're-
good correction on the camera. That's fantastic.
Yeah, the 360 cam's awesome.
Yep.
Let's plug it in.
All right.
Welcome to the Delta high power charging station. This is the one that will give 540 amps, which is the most out of a publicly available charger until the supercharger with NACS goes. I don't even think you're going to get it with the adapter, Jordan, which may actually mean that you should wait for a NACS car.
Ooh.
Because the adapters, I think, are limited to 500 amps.
And then
Tesla recognizes that.
By then you'll have LiDAR and all the other things.
Yeah. Well, it's just, we just don't know, and Volvo doesn't know. They won't tell us, or they just don't know. All right, so I'm going to grab my EVgo card. I'm going to tap it. There we go. I'm going to shut.
Authentication failed.
What? Oh, yeah, and the Volvo is red at the moment, actually. So let me see if I should pre-authorize the station. Why is the Volvo red? Now it's white.
First time?
Dude, you should have seen Colton trying to fill up the Boxster we had last week at the gas station.
Oh,
he
he's
literally sat there, he was standing there, and he never pulled the trigger.
He hasn't got
He was like,
gas
oh, I
in a
thought I had
while.
plug and charge. All right, so let's go here. Let's see if I can pre-authorize. Transaction canceled. Authentication failed. I'll just Apple shoot. I just want to know the voltage range. Payment's been authorized. I'm going to shut climate off. Do you think it will show us charging speed in here?
That's a make or break it too, I guess.
Absolutely. Okay, it's initializing. It says it's waiting for connection. Really nice displays in there. And we're at 31%.
Yep.
This is the most important thing about this car, I think. And I know we're not dead, like we may not see full power, but it should still charge pretty decently at 30%. It's a warm day, battery should be ready to rip.
Holy handshake time.
Yeah, handshake time takes a while. That could be on charger as well.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Here we are, 31%. Session details, we're at 370 volts. Yeah, this is a fully open charger. It says 540 amps, it's ready to do. So it's lower voltage than I expected. e-trons are, I think, oh no, it's pulling itself up though, for around 390. It's doing 540 amps, 211 kilowatts, dude.
Cool.
This is the only other car other than Tesla to pull that much current, 211 kilowatts. So this is as fast as you can actually charge one of these, because when you use the adapter on Tesla supercharging stations, at least that we know of, they won't go above 500 amps.
Right.
But it's very possible it will, I don't know. So it's already derating down to 200 kilowatts. So the taper point might be around 30% to get off of 200. I say we charge it until we dip, we charge it to 50%. Let's see what it'll do at 50.
So 201, yeah, it's reading out on the screen, it's great.
Oh, that's wonderful. Why can't EX30 do that? Apparently it's coming through a software update.
Everything's coming through a software update.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of this car is coming through a software update with LiDAR and Apple CarPlay, but that doesn't actually bother me so much. Yeah, it's really, really tapering hardcore now. But we did see 540 amps, which is great. Yeah. So we know the vehicle will request it, and that's how it's getting up to that 250 kilowatts. You know how many sleepless nights I've had thinking about how this car in the press materials kept saying 250 kilowatts before supercharging access was ever a thing. I was like, how are they going to do it? It's low voltage, the chargers can't do it. Are they crazy? Turns out it works. Everything works out in the end. So it must request like 600 amps, dude.
That's cool.
So yeah, we're already up to 35%, doing 186. That seems a bit too much of a taper for me. You know, EV9 holds 200 kilowatts to 80% on a 10% smaller battery than this.
Yeah.
So Jordan, it's about 150 kilowatts at 50%. We're right at 400 volts. So it's I would say a medium lowish 400 volt. I think Rivian would be around 430.
Not bad.
Around there, maybe 420, 430. So, you know, it's not 150 at 50% is pretty acceptable, I would say, but still weak sauce compared to the Lotus Electra, which also comes from this company. It's not a much higher, but a bit higher price point, high voltage, much faster charging. I just think about how cool would it have been if this had that battery.
Would have been mic drop.
This is not pushing the limits, not pushing the needle forward in terms of charging performance in the segment or category. You know, the EV9 at the same percentage on a similar size battery is doing another 50 kilowatts faster. So certainly not class leading. And I think that's a real shame because it's the first model year with many to come. Hopefully we see technical updates into the future that support higher power charging in the mid-range. But hey, dude, still cool to charge the first non-Tesla. We might be the first ones in the US to charge a non-Tesla above 500 amps.
Wow. Good for Volvo.
Good for Volvo. I mean, that's kind of cool. It's technically not the right way to do it. You want high voltage, low current, less I2R losses, but we'll take the power.
Yeah.
Jordan.
Kyle.
Charging performance recap.
Solid. Over 500 amps.
Over 500 amps. That was cool.
But yeah, not class leading. It could have been, again, a mic drop moment.
Could have been a mic drop moment.
Over-the-air updates could bring future mic drop moments, but...
Dude, imagine if they just are like, oh, we'll just hold 600 amps to like 60%, pull a Porsche. That'd be amazing.
Cannonball, EX90.
So we're on the highway at the moment, and there's a couple different things to talk about. The first I'd like to do is the driver assistance. But before I do that, the really first thing I'd like to do is just mention how quiet it is. I wouldn't say it's quite iX or e-tron level of refinement, but in terms of wind noise, in terms of regular road texture noise, like it's really nice. This concrete does come through the cabin, those little expansion joint noises a little bit, but dude, it's really something else in here.
Road trippable easily.
Absolutely. This is definitely a car to do some miles in. And I think plus when you have the family, maybe ultra fast charging isn't of super importance. 30 minutes roughly to go 10 to 80%, that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Like that is like bare minimum, I would say. And so this passes. We're not going to complain too much about the charging. Most people will charge at home anyway. It shouldn't be a problem. So what I'm going to do, I'm just in the middle lane. I'm going to pull down on the right stalk and engage auto steer and adaptive cruise control. I have some buttons on the left here. If I push it one time, it'll go down in 1 mile per hour increments like this. And what's kind of interesting is as I hover over the buttons, it shows me what I'm about to do. And that's because some of these buttons will configure and change over time.
And they're capacitive, yeah.
They are capacitive, but what's nice is they're out of the way from the rim of the wheel, so you don't really brush up against them by accident. At least I haven't, and it hasn't been a problem. So if I push and hold, I can go up and down by 5 miles per hour. And you said the maximum speed we can set auto steer to was 95?
95.
Yeah.
Which is the highest I think I can think of.
Yeah, we're not showing that, of course,
No.
nor did we ever attempt it. It actually tells you when you go over 95, auto steer won't be possible.
Yeah.
So 95 miles an hour, it's not the Germans. Germans, Taycan will auto steer to 130.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, some work to do, Volvo.
Volvo's not about high speed. The car's limited to 112 miles per hour, 180 kph, as with all new modern Volvos, which is really no problem, except in Germany.
Yeah, right. But here, good.
Okay, so some other things. Auto steer seems to be really nice. I mean, this is not using the LiDAR. The LiDAR will come with functionality over-the-air updates to enable it later. This is just using camera and radar. The LiDAR system is gathering data right now, and then we'll go. To make a lane change, all I do is go past the detent on the turn signal, so I'll lift all the way up, and we'll see if it does it. It says lane change maneuvers canceled. That's because a car came into our blind spot. They lane changed over. So that would seem pretty natural.
Yeah. So instead of waiting for that, though, it just canceled itself.
It just canceled. It's not like waiting.
Because some cars would wait and then go.
So let's try it now that no one's in our blind spot. Nope. Keeps hands on steering wheel. It is. That's another issue. It's a capacitive steering wheel, but there are some dead zones where it doesn't seem to recognize your hands.
Yeah.
And that's not uncommon in the auto industry, but I would say definitely present here. Let's try it now. I have 2 hands on the wheel lightly. It said, oh, canceled. We noticed the same thing in Polestar 3, didn't we?
Yeah. It wasn't so it was doing it for me earlier just fine.
Yeah.
But again, I had to have my hands very on the wheel to the point where I was almost canceling the lane change. So I was like, let me just change my own lanes.
Yeah, some systems that just like let you disengage and then lock back in if you don't have a great lane change system actually work better.
Yeah.
So lane change to the left now. Oh, it's doing it. It's doing it. It's doing it. Through a turn.
That's good.
It's a little bit slow, and and we're in there. You know who does the best lane changes? BMW.
Oh, yeah.
BMW is just like, boom, takes the lane.
Assertive.
Assertive, done, perfect lane centering every time. They're great. Mercedes is close second, but BMW really does the lane changes pretty well. Also, dude, no rear end waft or bounce. These are things that the e-tron, the EV9 would kind of be all over the place. This is hit the bump and done. Great tuning, maybe at the compromise of ultimate soft waftiness, but I think it's really, this is probably a car you won't get car sick in.
Yep.
Because there's just very little body motion. So the highway cruising is amazing. It's quiet in here. You crank up the sound system. Let's lane change back to the right. Nope, it doesn't want to go to the right today.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It did earlier for me, but I don't know.
So yeah, there you go. Highway.
System,
I mean, like, here's the thing with the EX90. It's not a performance car.
No.
But it is fast. And it is not like a luxurious car, but it is comfortable. And it doesn't do anything really to piss me off.
No.
Once you get the performance all-wheel drive on, set that setting as long as you're not going for max range.
It's great.
This is like a, you know, at 75, 80 miles an hour, my guess in our range test, this is going to be mid 200s, maybe 260, 270 miles at 70 miles an hour.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I want to say 247.
Oh, you think less? Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait to see until we get on testing. We also have the big wheels.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so the small wheels should do a little bit better. But is that a Fisker Ocean on the side of the road?
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
That's on
camera. No flat tire either. Just bricked.
Anyways,
I want to buy one of those.
Maybe theirs is for sale.
I mean, if we really had time, I wish we didn't, because we need to talk to the engineers, we'd stop and help them, because that would also make an interesting YouTube video.
Yeah.
Not that we would only help people for videos. That
never.
came out totally wrong. Sorry. I love actually helping people on the side of the road, as long as I have some ability of time to do it. But we're running late.
Yeah.
So sorry to the Ocean owner. I hope their car comes with roadside assistance and everything is okay.
Yeah, hopefully that's like not like a canceled number.
Right. Oh gosh, yeah. Sorry, we're out of business. Good luck. Okay, well, EX90, I think we can get the overall picture now, Jordan.
You summed it up really well.
It's fast. It's comfortable. Looks great. Software tech, one software update away from near perfection.
Yep.
Sound system rips. Could use a little bit more subwoofer in the back, but I'm very you know, I'm that guy that likes the aftermarket subs, so, you know, I think anyone normal will think it's the best sound system they've ever heard. It might be the best car audio I've ever heard.
I'd build a really nice custom box in the sub trunk storage area.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
And just the windows would explode.
Subs. All subs.
Yeah. So here we are coming into beautiful Newport, California.
Yeah.
As we leave you now from, honestly, one of the best new cars of the year to launch. It's not without its quirks, it's not without some final tuning needed, but the overall package, I kind of like that it's a little bit smaller than the competition. It's got to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
If you're coming out of an XC90, this is clearly the next electric car, or the electric car of choice for you, because it's a little bit bigger even, I think, than XC90, it feels like to me, and overall just has a great high quality, nicely refined feel.
And even minus the things that we originally expected at launch, it's still easily recommendable. But then, like, I'm really curious to see what long-term ownership would be. Like, if we got a long-term loaner for 6 months or something, what updates would come, how would it be after that?
Yeah, I want to do the bidirectional charging.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff. So this is certainly not the last of our EX90 coverage. We will be covering this car very closely. It's
as often as I possibly can.
Yeah, I just want to sit in the driveway for a week and listen to the sound system. So thanks so much for watching. I think if any of you guys were on the fence about this vehicle from a driving dynamics standpoint, you're going to love it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
There's nothing really to complain about here that should stop you from buying it. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in another one again soon. Bye-bye.